welcome back to Holistic Healing Association. I'm Erin Darcy. I'm certified in body processing and clinical hypnosis. Today, we are going to be discussing trauma and hearing a deep trauma story. Thank you so much. Would you like to tell us about yourself and introduce yourself?
Hi, yeah, my name's Athina WEISS, and I'm 36 years old, and I have a almost 3-year-old daughter. And I'm also an embodied processing practitioner, and I'm starting to do some equine facilitated wellness sessions as well. And yeah, I
That's
just
cool.
kind of,
How's that going?
yeah, it's my pony just moved to a different farm, and they do like equine assisted learning. So she's getting a lot more exposure in that sort of field. And then I have the ability to do sessions there with her, which will be great. So I haven't actually started much yet. And then I'm also applying to go back to school to do my master's of counseling. So everything's still coming together at the moment, but yeah, just doing some free sessions mostly now with friends and family and just seeing how that goes.
Right on. And how's that going?
Yeah, it's been really great. I think this is what my pony is called to do for sure. And then her name's Alice actually. She is basically what got my own healing journey rolling. Because through some issues I was having with her in the past, when she was advertised to me, she was advertised as like doing kids lessons, very safe for children. Um, and I seen videos and pictures of it, but they didn't realize that at that time she was actually pregnant. So they sold her, and then the lady that foaled out the foal only had her for a couple months, and then she wanted to sell her because I guess after the foal came, she just started becoming a little bit more and more feral. And then when I got her, her foal was about 3 months, so I got both of them, and I could catch her, I could brush her, I could do all the things. But then when I weaned her full, I sent her about an hour and a half away because my nieces live there. And so I thought, oh, this perfect pony, I'll still pay for her, but my nieces can, learn and do all the fun pony things with her. And she actually started to regress like quite fast. And then to the point where, you realize that there's a lot of stuff coming up for her. And yeah, so then having people work with her and just a bunch of issues and stuff. So eventually, when she came back to Langley, where I was, I got an animal communicator to come out and do a session with her. And then when the animal communicators, all these things she's saying, and she's talking about, a deep unresolved grief. She's saying this pony's antisocial. She's saying this pony doesn't really trust herself and trust her surroundings and all of these things that she was saying. I was like, holy smokes, like is she talking about me or what's going on here? The pony actually ended up being like a very clear mirror to myself. Like those are all the issues I was having at that time. And then I was actually quite emotional during that whole session. And the lady was like, I'm not surprised. Like this happens a lot with animals. Like they come into our lives for specific reasons. And she's a hypnotherapist as well as the animal communicator. So she had offered to me to do some sessions with her. She thought it'd be very beneficial. So I said, oh, thank you. I'll think about it. This was in December of 2020, I think it was. And, it took me about 3 or 4 months to finally reach back out to that lady. And it's very funny, actually, because I was willing to put the money forward for my pony, you know? Like the biggest concern with myself when I was thinking about like reaching out and getting help was the cost at the time, because it wasn't something that was covered and it was a commitment, right? It's not just one session she offers. I think it was groups of 6 sessions. And for me, I just felt, oh, I can't commit. Like, I can't commit to this investment. And looking back now, I find it so funny that I was willing to put the money forward for my animal, but when it came to myself, I wasn't willing to right away at that time. And it just kind of shows you that people in general on their healing journeys, I know that that's actually something that stops a lot of people. is the cost of it, and they're not willing to invest in themselves. But once I did, and it was just so 6 sessions we ended up doing together. The first one was just kind of getting used to like hypnotherapy and just seeing what happens.
Yep.
But the second session, we literally went back to the last time I met my mom in person. So a little backstory for anyone who doesn't know, my mom passed away when I was 14 years old from cancer. I just turned 14 basically. And the way it happened was my parents sent my two older brothers and I to Greece that summer just because they knew my mom was dying, but nobody ever really talked about it openly. Everybody just kind of pretended it wasn't happening, is how I perceived it then. So they sent us to Greece, promised that they would come. I think we were there for 2 or 3 weeks before they showed up. My brothers and I didn't speak very much Greek. Our family that we were staying with spoke little to no English, so communication wasn't happening there. But finally, my mom and dad came, and like when I seen my mom that time after having that 2 to 3 week span, like I couldn't believe it. Like it finally kicked in that, this isn't good. It was the first time she was ever in a wheelchair in her life, and just the way she looked was, not the way that I'd remembered her. When it happens in front of your eyes day by day, like especially like I noticed my daughter growing. When you see it day by day, you don't notice, but if you spend that time away, then you get hit with this realization that so much can change in a short period of time. So yeah, my mom and dad, they stayed with us for maybe a week or two, and then my mom was begging my dad to take her home because she wasn't a Greek citizen. So she knew like she had to go back to Canada to pass away, basically. So I still remember being in the airport that last time, like they had to get an emergency flight and we weren't able to get on that flight. So they literally like we stayed and they left. And so that was last time. Like that was the way I said goodbye to my mom, was like literally in an airport, giving her like a little hug and saying, okay, bye kind of thing.
That's really sad.
Yeah, it's really sad. And like so that's definitely like the bulk of my trauma was that instant right there. And so through this hypnotherapy, like we were able to go back to that exact moment, um, and then just kind of, like change my perception of it. So the most important thing that I think in my healing journey was changing the perception of my most traumatic event. So basically, when we went back to that moment, as an adult, like adult Athena was able to, talk to 14-year-old Athena in that time and just like explain to her that this is it. Like your mother's life is over. She, for whatever reason, however it works, none of us know for sure, right? But I mean, it's her time to go. And so just knowing that this is the last time you're going to see her. And in that moment, the one thing that, and then I remember the lady asking, like, what does little Athena need in this moment? So other than being told, like, kind of what's happening and that life does go on afterwards, the thing that came to me was like, I need a hug, like a proper hug. And so that time, like I hugged my mom, but then also my brothers and my dad and I all got in this group hug. And then I even remember like in that time, like random ancestors, like uncles,
Oh,
grandpas,
wow.
like people who weren't there,
Yeah.
people who are already passed, like
The
there was
circle
this
of care.
huge hugging, yeah, like a huge mass hug. So that was like, even just thinking about it now, it's giving me like a little bit of heebie jeebies, but in a good way. Like I could just feel like, the love and the emotion coming through right now. And yeah, and it's actually very interesting for the majority of my life until like going through those hypnotherapy sessions, hugging was something like almost turned into a phobia for me from that time. Like because after when they passed away, my mom passed away, like my brothers and I, instead of all banding together, so I had two older brothers and my father, we all just kind of separated and isolated in our grief, unfortunately. And like we were never much of a huggy family to begin with, but yeah, like even friends and stuff, like I was never the person that would so like come at you with arms open. And then if
Hmm.
someone did that to me, it's like depending on who they were, like sometimes I'd just like turn around and ignore it, like pretend like I didn't see it. Or like depending who it was, maybe I'd step in and allow them to hug me, but I was never like hugging them. So I think it all stems just from that kind of moment of that last hug with my mom was like such a devastating thing to me afterwards. But then once I was able to heal through that session and change my perception of like, you know, how my body and mind remembered that last moment with her, and then feeling the love from the hug from my immediate family and then my ancestors who all came in. Since that time, like, you know, I enjoy hugs now. I will reach out and hug somebody. That's it's quite interesting, I find.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. And what's your favorite memory of your mother?
Mm, she definitely had a good sense of humor for sure. And then just she was hardworking and strong. I think all those things. She was definitely she took no BS from people. So it's taken me a long time to get to that point where I feel like I have, you know, some worth and I have the right, you know, I have things to say that people want to hear. And just yeah, if somebody like I guess there's boundaries, being able to hold boundaries against like strangers and other people, you know, that's definitely something that took me a long time to get myself, but I realized that she was very strong in that way.
And your daughter's mother.
Hmm.
So just really embody that,
Yeah,
right? That you're her daughter. So you have her in you. So embody that strength.
yeah, definitely. And then her passion for horses, something like we've always shared, and then we did lots of horsey things together, which has always been was great.
Okay. Nice. Right. And what advice do you have for our viewers that have experienced grief?
I think the number one advice and what went completely wrong in my case was just this whole us all trying to do it on our own, you know, like us dealing with our own grief on our own. I think the number one thing is if you're feeling this grief and pain, you really need to reach out to somebody, and it's okay to ask for help is the main thing. And just, you know, sometimes you're not ready to talk about it with just anybody. Sometimes you need to find somebody who's, you know, almost a complete stranger to the situation. It's sometimes a lot easier just to be able to talk about it. And just, yeah, just sharing your story, I find has been really healing for me. It's helped me a lot.
Thank you so much for joining us today. It was an honor having you and listening to you, opening up about your trauma. And for everyone watching today, if you're interested in a session, we will be providing our information below. Please feel free to reach out. And thank you everyone for joining in.